tonight we have a wonderful surprise, a guest sermon giver, Anna Levy-Lyons, who is a writer and a Romemu community member and a rabbinical student and a dear friend. So Anna, I invite you to come up here with us, and we're excited to hear from you.
Can I get this higher? Thank you. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
And thank you, Rabbi Diane, for inviting me to speak and for, be a little, yeah, that's good, that's good, that's good. Oh, I think it's, and for helping me figure out what I wanted to speak, how I wanted to speak, and what I wanted to say. Thank you. Okay. Try this again. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. So NASA did an amazing thing a few years ago, something straight out of an 8-year-old's fantasy. They intentionally crashed a spaceship into an asteroid. The spaceship was, does anybody remember this? This spaceship was called DART, Double Asteroid Redirection Test, and the asteroid was named Dimorphos. Dimorphos means having two forms. Dimorphos was not threatening Earth, but NASA wanted to experiment with trying to knock an asteroid off its course in case one was ever headed our way, a little course correction. So they built this thing and they sent it up into the sky and got it going at 15,000 miles an hour, aimed it at Dimorphos, and watched to see what would happen. And of course, they live streamed the whole thing. So my family and I got to watch this drama unfold online from the comfort of our living room. And we were treated to a split screen. On one side, you had the NASA engineers who were in the control room, and they were hooping and hollering like it was the Super Bowl or something. And on the other side, an image of Dimorphos, the asteroid, getting bigger and bigger in the screen. The adults in my family are not too bright. And so we kept asking each other, where's the DART spacecraft they keep talking about? Why are they only showing the asteroid? And it took my then 12-year-old daughter to explain that no, we're on the DART spacecraft. We're looking through the camera that's on DART. Sometimes we're so identified with our own perspective, we can't even see it. Now we understood why Dimorphos was beginning to fill up the screen, how we could see greater and greater detail, eventually the boulders strewn across the surface. Now we understood why they said signal loss will confirm impact. When contact was made, DART and its camera that we were looking through would be blown to smithereens. They said, we will look for signal loss and then we'll celebrate. Look for signal loss and then celebrate. And sure enough, after showing the most detailed image of the asteroid, the screen went blank and the NASA people went crazy. It's fitting, I believe, that this took place on Rosh Hashanah. And I was excited to revisit it now during the month of Elul, when we begin to step back with awe and wonder at this universe. This is the spiritual warm-up season when we reflect on our lives, our own galactic trajectory, where we've been, where we're going, what camera we are looking through, how we've shown up in the world as the best versions of ourselves and how we have not, It's a time for course correction. It's a time to apologize when we've missed the mark. It's a time to reflect on our relationships, and when others have failed us, to practice that most challenging of spiritual arts, forgiveness. In our high holiday traditions, we talk a lot about teshuvah, repentance, and asking for forgiveness. When we talk about forgiving others, it's often in the form of mechila, forgiving debts when the other person has done everything that they can to make amends. But slicha is a whole different kind of forgiveness. It's a God quality of forgiveness that's not dependent on anything that the sinner can do. It isn't earned. The capacity for this kind of forgiveness is one of the midot, one of the 13 inherent attributes of God that we recite during slichot. And toward the beginning of the Kol Nidre service, before we've had a chance to perform all the elaborate rituals of repentance, God is quoted as saying to the people, Salachti, I have forgiven. But forgiveness is not only divine. We humans can grow this capacity as well. Many Sidurim include a prayer to be recited before going to sleep. I hereby forgive and absolve anyone who has angered or provoked me or sinned against me. This is a practice of release. Slicha, forgiveness, is a process that is primarily about the person doing the forgiving. Because sometimes when you're that person, the person who was wronged, you suffer doubly. First, because of the thing that happened to you, and then also because of the dart of anger and resentment that you carry. You hold on to that dart, you ride with it, and you see through its camera lens. If you're like me, you're going over and over it in your head about why they're wrong and you're right, and here's another reason, and here's another thing that they did to you. The dart sends a continuous signal like a strobe light of resentment. Its perspective of the other person fills your screen and traps you in an endless loop. It's not a good place to be. But how to change it? Is there a way that we can free ourselves from that narrow camera view of anger and resentment? What would it take to see a wider galactic view and find compassion and get free? Forgiveness, in my experience, is a process. It's never like flipping a switch. It takes time and it has stages. It takes place in the realm of the heart and the spirit, emotion and energy. None of it is clean-lined and sharp and definite. It often doesn't have to be verbal. Forgiveness can take place entirely internally, or as you might think of it, between one another on a spirit level, a different level of consciousness. It's a drama taking place between celestial bodies. There are at least 3 players in this drama. You have DART, the spacecraft of anger and resentment with its single-pointed camera view. You have Dimorphos, the multifaceted asteroid that is the other deeply flawed human being. And you have the celestial container, the higher self. Some call it our divine self, the one who forgives over and over no matter what. In the words of the Rumi poem, even if you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Here's how I see it. You start to do the work of forgiving someone, which can be as simple as picturing the person and saying the words in your heart, even if you don't feel it. I forgive you for whatever it is. And just the act of doing that with as open a heart as you can muster begins to humanize the other person. It begins to expand the view of the DART camera feed. You get a little closer. And then you start to think about why that other person is the way that they are. What must have happened to them that they think that the way that they treated you is normal? What kind of fear drives their cruelty and their callousness? What kind of pain are they carrying forward? Or if it's not pain but entitlement, what has that entitlement cost them? Their actions toward you are often an echo of other people's actions toward them. As you travel down this road of contemplation, you approach them, their spirit self, and you start to see them more clearly. The details on the face of the asteroid begin to resolve until you can see the boulders and the shadows. And you may feel a little hint of compassion start to emerge. It doesn't mean that what they did was okay, but pay attention to that compassion. Because from here, sometimes it can start to get really interesting. I've found that when you start to work on forgiving someone, they get humanized, and then sometimes the realization hits you that that's not the person you actually need to forgive. There's a different person who you really need to forgive. Maybe it's a parent, a sibling, a teacher, someone who loomed large in your life and you got wounded in a way that made this situation extra painful. When you set about trying to forgive that other person, that's a much bigger deal. And when you keep going and you dig deeper, you may find that the one that you really need to forgive is God, or maybe yourself. Meanwhile, the first person, the one who wronged you today, is just the poor schlub who got caught in the crossfire of your baggage and their baggage. They are indeed dimorphous, more than one truth. They can never be fully explained by their worst acts. There's always more to the story. They are both. They're the monster that hurt you and the poor schlub underneath just toiling away the best they can in a messed up world. And now the two of you, rather than being adversaries, can be strangely bonded, suffering the pain of the world together. This picture is the big, wide-angle picture, the divine picture. This forgiveness is divine forgiveness. How will we know if our forgiveness mission has worked? How will we know that it's had impact? Signal loss. The signal from the dart, the anger, the resentment, that strobe light will burn up and disappear. Signal loss will confirm impact. We do this work, and the endless loop of arguments in our head goes quiet, or at least quieter. And we notice that we feel lighter, freer. Like the NASA scientists, we look for signal loss and then we celebrate. And then there's one more thing that can happen, and it's an inexplicable thing. The purpose of the NASA mission was to see if a giant asteroid can be moved, if it can be nudged off course even a little bit. We engage a forgiveness mission to change ourselves, but of course we're always hoping in the back of our minds that it might change them too, that the situation can change. And I've seen it happen. Even when the forgiveness is never spoken to the other person, even when the process seems completely internal, it can have an effect that reverberates in the galaxy. When we fly deeper and deeper into the heart of the matter, see the other and ourselves more clearly, and grow our salicha, our compassion, until we attain signal loss, there is an impact in the world. And sometimes that impact can lovingly nudge others into a slightly different course. 2 weeks after Rosh Hashanah that year that they crashed a spaceship into an asteroid, the following message was posted on the NASA website. Analysis of data obtained over the past 2 weeks by NASA's Double Asteroid Redirection Test, DART, investigation team shows that the spacecraft's kinetic impact with its target asteroid Dimorphos successfully altered the asteroid's orbit. This marks humanity's first time purposely changing the motion of a celestial object and the first full-scale demonstration of asteroid deflection technology. I'm glad that NASA finally caught up with Torah. Blessings to all of you and Shabbat Shalom.